What does it mean to bloom to me? I think it's a freeing self-awareness, understanding that I have good and bad, although bad isn't a term I really use, it's just difficult or different, and understand how all of that drives me towards being me and what I want in life. If I'm to be honest, I don't know that I know who I am yet. In the moments where I feel like I'm performing, and we all know when we're performing, I kind of step back and I have to ask myself why. What is it I think people think about me that I'm doing this? Or what expectations have been laid in front of me that I'm trying to uphold? Do I want to do that? Is it actually what I want out of life? And if it's not, then it's for me to assess. And it's okay because I'm human. Like, no one is perfect. I don't want to be perfect. So sometimes I am performing and I know I am. But the only way you can be authentic is to think about who you are when there is absolutely no one around. It's just you and the voice in your head if you have one. What do you want? What scares you? What makes you happy? And does that person feel fed? If I think of blooming, the flowers in general don't bloom completely. It's a process. They bloom a little bit and then there's more light, they bloom a little bit more, then bloom a little bit more, then petals fall off. It's seasonal. I think I am starting to have more of awareness of who I am, but I don't know who I am entirely. So I'd be in the process of blooming. But if someone was to ask me now, like, who are you, or what makes you you, I could probably give you an answer now, but it'll be different tomorrow. It might even be different this evening. There's a fluidity that I'm kind of learning to fall in love with that I don't think is as scary as I thought it was when I was younger. I think growing up, everyone seemed to want to have a very stringent, solid idea of I am this person. People surmise themselves based on what other people tell them they are, or how they dress, or what they listen to, or where they go, or what they like or dislike. And those things all kind of seem transient to me because I might like something today, I might hate it tomorrow. So how can I be the girl who likes this music, or how can I be the girl that likes this outfit because I might hate it tomorrow? I do not know who I am. What I do know is that I will probably continue searching for that person until I die. And I think that's probably the magic of existence. Do I like myself? No, not really. I tolerate myself. I have moments where I am absolutely in love with myself and I think I'm the best thing walking. I feel like the main character in life. I have other times where I feel incredibly small and I don't think I matter all that much at all. I have moments where I feel like people can see all my flaws in an instant, and I have other times where I feel like I don't possess any. The reason I say I don't like myself is I think liking yourself is almost a waste of time because so what? I think it's more, do I respect myself? I do, because I won't always like myself. But I respect myself in that I respect myself as being a living, breathing being that even when I do not like myself and I feel like I don't deserve certain things, I respect myself enough to know that I will still try my best to enjoy those things so that I can honor myself as best as possible. Because if I am reliant on liking myself, the days I don't like myself, I'll punish myself. The days I like myself, I might be too gluttonous. So, no, I don't like myself, but I respect myself. When you create, there's a weird line between creating for love and creating because you need to. And that need can sometimes be monetary, like I have to pay my bills. And other times that need is a compulsion, like if I can't create, then who am I? It kind of goes back to the thought of liking yourself. When you're a creative person, a lot of how much you like yourself is based on how much output you create because you believe that you are what you make. Hence why I said liking myself is a waste of time, because when I can't create, then I don't like myself. So I have to respect myself in those times. The frustration for me quite often can actually be quite debilitating. I've had moments where I'm so angry with myself for not being able to create, but at the same time, 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm making stuff and I could only make that stuff because I wasn't creating 2 or 3 weeks earlier. Sometimes work doesn't belong to you, you're just the vessel in which to share the work, and sometimes work belongs to you. The work in which it doesn't belong to you kind of know. It's an idea that kind of hits you like a lightning bolt. And you're like, I don't know how the hell I came up with this. But you're like, okay, I'm going to do something with it. That work doesn't belong to you. I believe the concept of genius has been misunderstood. People are not geniuses. You are blessed with a genius. And if you don't use it, it will find someone else to tell that story through. And then the work that belongs to you is work that is so deeply tied to who you are that actually sometimes it can get in your own way. It's the work in which it's the hardest to hear feedback on. And you know the difference when you create. There's work where someone says, this needs to be tighter, and you're like, you're right, it needs to be tighter. And there's work where someone says, this doesn't make sense, and you feel a visceral reaction to that because it's not about the work, it's about you.
What does it mean to bloom to me? to come out, to breathe, to get that first ray of sun, to get that bit of air come through. Clarity is what it means to me. To bloom is clarity. Born and raised in the Southwest up until the age of 10, was moved to the countryside at 11, hated the countryside, moved out at 18 to go to university, dropped out of university, moved out on my own, lived on my own for the last 10 plus years, hate landlords in London. I wish I could swear, but I'm not gonna swear. And now I'm here, now I'm 30. I've seen what it's like to go from the estate to a 5-bedroom house. I've seen what it's like to go from one of hundreds of black kids in the school to the only black person in the entire secondary school, the entire village, the entire sixth form. I've gone from not knowing what racism was to getting called hard R's, if I can say that. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean in it. And then I've gone into being 20, in my 20s, and living out of my home and fending for myself and having pervy landlords and people who want to rip you off and crazy men and bad friends and just figuring that out on my own. I haven't bloomed yet, but soon come. That's what I'm hoping for. At the end of the day, I didn't realize how different my life was in comparison to other black people around my age until I went back to uni, and then I'd be like, oh, well, I've never had a job before, dad pays for this, dad pays for that, dad pays for rent, People would be looking at me like, this bitch. Do you know what I mean? I remember one of my first fights in uni was because somebody was like, she's an Oreo and she thinks she's too nice. And I was like, well, of course I'm too nice. What else would I be? And second of all, like, I didn't know that I was wrong, and I didn't know that they were jealous, and vice versa, and all that stuff. But it's funny, it's like I've almost had to catch up. I don't think I've had peace of mind, honestly, since I was 18, since I left my parents' house. I don't think I've had a moment to be like, you know? Like when you move out young and you live on your own and you have to figure things out, you don't have that moment to be like, let the world catch me. You know what I mean? Like when you're on your own, you're on your own. And I was the kind of person who wouldn't like, okay, you haven't got a job? I wasn't going back home. I was going to a hostel. Because I didn't want to go back home. I didn't want to have to start again. In my head, I had to really keep going. If I was low, I had to find myself to come up high. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have time to be like, oh, let me just go back to mum and dad's house and let them look after me in their big old house. No, in my head, it was like, nah, whatever I do, I have to make it through. So I have two biggest fears, and they're so different. And it makes me laugh how different they are. One is maternal. So one is actually the fear that, not that I can't have a child, because health-wise I'm good in that department, but like, is that I won't be the best mother that I think I could be, because I feel like I have these little things that I need to work on and that I'm working on, that sometimes I get so scared that I'm not gonna be perfect that I scare myself out of the thought of being a mum at all. It's really weird, because it's like, how can you be scared of something you haven't even done? My dad always said to me, whatever you're doing, whether you're Beyonce's backup singer or a rubbish collector, be the best at it. So when I did the whole like sex influencer stuff and podcast stuff, my parents weren't upset with me for talking about sex. They were actually proud of me, but they were like, just make sure you're the best of the best, otherwise what's the point? What is the biggest thing I have to overcome for me to blossom is myself. I would say I'm in a bit of a funky funk right now. I was part of a sex podcast, one of the best sex podcasts in the UK, I might as well say as well. Broken Pussy podcast was amazing. And now I'm out of that, but I still miss doing sex content. I say sex content. When I say sex content, I mean sexual educational content. But I miss that, but I didn't want to be engulfed with that. I didn't want that to be my only face. I didn't want to, oh, that's the girl that talks about sex. No, I also talk about other things. I also love to cook, especially cultural dishes. I also love Beyonce. So I think I need to figure out how to make everything work. Is the word coherently? God, that was big English. But I need to make sure everything works, and then I can blossom, and then I can be happy, and then I will have peace of mind, and then I can have a baby. The end.